Good evening, and welcome to our regular council meeting this Tuesday, December 2nd, at 7:30 PM. And we are going to start this evening's meeting. I'm convening it at 7:35, and we are going to start with the invocation by Tricia Hellman, and followed immediately thereafter by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Sergio Jimenez. Tricia, welcome.
Thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, Mother, in this season of gratitude for our many blessings, hope for the future, and the giving of love and caring to others, may you be present in every home, business, and in this chamber today. May our faith bring each of us peace and confidence in the goodness you have in store for all your loving children. For those who have lost faith, please help them and lift them to understanding and give them hope and peace. May your wisdom and love be present in all the activities of the council today. I witnessed the loving and caring of this community at the Make a Difference Day event, and I could see how you have touched this community with the spirit of giving of mind and body. May your divine word provide guidance for righteous judgment and justice for this community, and be an example of the good of all mankind. I know you are always listening. Thank you.
Please turn and face our nation's flag. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tricia, and thank you, Sergio. Okay, on our roll call, can we please have roll call?
Council members Belton.
Here.
Jimenez.
Here.
Spicer.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Kelly.
Here.
And Mayor Shevlin.
Here. We are moving on then to, we did not have a closed session this evening. We did have a great study session on Canyon Park fees. And so that was, I know that doesn't sound really exciting to any of you, but we look forward to being able to offer our Canyon Park for rentals. And so at any rate, that's what our study session was about. And thank you, Rebecca Sandoval, for providing that presentation. It was great. And then we are moving on to our presentations, which I think I saw somebody out in the lobby that's going to be coming in and sharing a special announcement. Santa. Santa. And he's, yeah.
He's slowing down in his senior years.
On our Santa Tours overview. Don't be bashful.
He's on a diet.
Uh-huh.
Reindeer pulling on the reins. Bells are ringing, children singing all in.
Yeah, you're looking real trim these days, Santa.
Thank you.
Okay. I understand you're going to tell us all about our Santa tours.
Yes. Oh, thank you. So for our Santa tours, actually starting next week, is going to be December the 8th through the 12th. The Santa tour has been bringing Santa throughout every neighborhood in Monrovia since 1990s. On Monday, Santa will visit streets south of Huntington Drive, west of Myrtle Avenue, and north of southern city's boundaries. On Tuesday, Santa Tour will city streets east of Myrtle and north of Foothill. On Wednesday, Santa Tour streets west of Myrtle and north of Huntington to the Foothill border. On Thursday, Santa will visit city streets east of Myrtle Avenue, south of Foothill Boulevard, north of Doherty Road. And on Friday, Santa will visit city streets west of Myrtle Avenue and north of Foothill Boulevard.
All right.
And we will have a Santa tracker. The Santa tracker will go live the day before Santa Tour begins. The Santa tracker, along with additional information about the tour, will be accessed by visiting the City of Monrovia website or by scanning the QR code listed below. And thank you, and happy holidays.
Thank you very much, Santa. Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho.
Thank you for the elves.
Yeah. Can we have some candy cane, Santa? Sure,
We've been good all year, Santa.
yeah.
Thank you.
And we can just,
We can use these on Thursday.
thank you, thank you. Thank you, Santa. And Dylan, when will that information be on our website?
The information will be put up on the website this week, and then we'll do special updates in the city manager update to promote it. But we want to make sure that everybody's ready so that they can see Santa. The tracker will also kind of follow Santa around as he makes his way through those different neighborhoods on those different nights. And it's the same path as the last couple of years. We've been able to incorporate all the community streets, and so we just encourage people to pay attention and participate and have fun, and we look forward to the Santa tours.
Great, thank you. Okay, we're moving on then to our student government representative report. And Elsie, what's new at the high school?
Thank you, Mayor Shevlin, council members, and members of the community. Good evening to you all. On November 7th, Monrovia hosted the first round of the CIF football playoffs. Although our team did not move forward, Cat City spirit remained strong, and we demonstrated our loyalty to the team until the very end. Winter sports have also officially begun. Boys and girls basketball had their opening games against Santa Monica Academy, where both teams delivered impressive wins. The boys team is now 6-0 and continues to improve to prepare for upcoming league games. In addition, the girls soccer team had their first game today, and we look forward to watching them continue on. Leadership is now planning our January winter dance, which will be held in our event center shortly after we return from winter break. The dance will be a Sadie-style event based on the Stranger Things show, and will serve as a more affordable option for students who want to attend a school dance. To keep students connected and engaged, we continue to host lunchtime activities every Friday. Looking ahead, we are also planning Connection Weeks, which are daily lunchtime giveaways and activities in preparation for finals and the break. The drama department has begun preparations for their next two shows, being The Iliad and the Odyssey and all of Greek mythology in 99 minutes or less, and The Drowsy Chaperone. Shows will take place in December and March, and we can't wait to see our fellow Wildcats on the stage. Lastly, we are excited to participate in the Monrovia Christmas Parade. We look forward to continuing to grow our involvement and our commitment to Wildcat Pride. Thank you all for your continued support throughout the school year.
Well, thank you, and happy holidays to all of you at the high school and MUSD. And we look forward to seeing you for the parade. And so the theme is Stranger, it has to do with Stranger Things, is that it?
Yeah, and I think I've never seen Stranger Things, but in season 1, there's a snowball dance, which is kind of
I
what we're
think
going
they're in
for.
season 5 now.
Yeah.
think. Wow. Have a lot of fun. Thank you. And if you need to run, we understand. But thank you for being here. Okay. Then we are going to move on to our, we don't have any changes that I'm aware of to our order of business?
Mayor Shevlin, we do, on the memo, we would like to move our CM2 up to.
I
now,
saw, okay,
basically.
all right. I just had it right in front of me. Oh, here it is. Oh, okay. And then, so RCM2, the Upper San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District Golden Mussels and Water Supply Update. We are moving that up to this position. Unless there's some objections, we will go ahead and hear that now. And I think Alex Tachiki, our Public Works Director, will be presenting that item.
Well, good evening, Mayor and
evening.
Council. Just one clarification, actually. I have Tom Love with me, who's the
Oh.
General Manager of Upper District. And so Tom will be able to provide an update on the Golden Mussel and a water supply update. And then if Council has any questions for me on how it impacts our water system, I'm happy to
Okay.
answer any questions.
Good evening, Mr. Love.
Thank you, Alex. Mayor Shevlin, members of the council, members of the community, thanks for the opportunity to give you an update on our water supply and talk about a challenge we have in the Golden Mussel. I am looking forward to next Tuesday when Santa visits our neighborhood up at Canyon and Foothill, so I will be watching for
Good.
that from my office. And I also want to mention Director Anthony Fellow sends his regrets. He's attending the Association of California Agencies Water Conference, where he's chair of Region 8, so he kind of had to be there for that, but he sends his regrets for not being here. I'm going to talk about both our statewide water supply right now, our local water supply, which frankly is relatively good news. And then I'm going to talk about the threat of the Golden Mussel, which was detected a year ago in October near Stockton and has quickly migrated through the state water project system. So this is Metropolitan Water Districts. Of course, we get our imported water supply from Metropolitan Water District, who has sources from the Colorado River and from the State Water Project, water from Northern California. And you may have heard there are some challenging negotiations going on the Colorado River between the 7 basin states, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, and California. They're very challenging. And the country of Mexico is part of that negotiation as well. But it's clear that the amount of water that we get, Metropolitan gets from the Colorado River, will be going down because it just cannot sustain the amount of demand on the system. On the State Water Project, we've had a couple of very, very good years, high allocations. In fact, 2023 was the first time since 2006, the State Water Project allocation, which is the percent of water, its capacity that it will deliver, was 100%. I didn't think I'd ever see 100% again, but 2023 was 100%. So Metropolitan was able to move a lot of water in their storage, and you can see here that they are at a record amount of water in storage, about the same amount at the end of this year as they were last year. Frankly, that's because most of their storage is full. There's not many more places they can store water, so that's really good news. Now, a lot of that water is stored in Lake Mead, which is very good for Metropolitan. We don't take water from the Colorado River here. So sometimes that's a challenge if all their storage is over on the Colorado River. So I wanted to caveat this good news with a lot of that storage, but there's really good storage on what we call the State Water Project side of the system. Now to our local supply. This is a chart of our groundwater levels. This is at the Baldwin Park Key Well, historical graph. You can see in 2018, we hit a historic low in the basin, 169 feet above sea level. We did have a couple of wet years, 2019, 2000, and then again we had another drought. We almost hit another historic low in 2022, but because of the wet years of 2023, 2024, and a relatively normal year of 2025, the basin has rapidly recovered all the way up to its targeted high level of 250 feet above sea level. It's come down a little bit since, and I'll tell you one of the reasons why it has come down, because we haven't been able to deliver imported water because of the mussel, but it is in really good shape, and as you can see, it's in its best shape since about 2006. So we're really looking good for our local water supply. For this current water year, we measure the water year from October 1st to September 30th. And of course, with all the rain we got back in October and November, so far we're in really good shape. But we know most of our rainfall comes in January, February, and March. So if those months are dry, this could evaporate, no pun intended, very quickly. But we're on a good start. We're off to a good start for our local water supply. So that's the good news. We're in good shape, and it's a good thing that we are, because on September 24th, LA County Public Works turned off our deliveries. We deliver to the San Gabriel River, just below Morris Dam. That comes down the river to the Santa Fe Spreading Grounds you're all familiar with at the intersection of the 210-605 freeway. And you probably noticed there was water in there on Labor Day. And on Halloween, there wasn't any water there because the county shut us off because of their concerns about the golden mussel. Now, the golden mussel has not been detected here locally. It's been detected moving down the state project system. The detection in August was at Lake Silverwood, which is over by Apple Valley. And that's when the county said, oh, it's getting too close. And it could be here. We recognize, it's a little microscopic larva that you're trying to find. It could already be here, so the county was being cautious and stopped deliveries. In September, the California legislature passed legislation adding the golden mussel to the law that allows you to, if you allow an invasive species to be moved without a control plan, you're in violation of state law. So technically, Department of Water Resources knowingly was allowing that mussel to move through the state. They can't turn it off. I mean, it was impractical. But the legislature adopted that. The governor signed it. So with a control plan approved by the California Fish and Wildlife Service, we could resume deliveries, but the county also has to be satisfied that we're mitigating and managing potential impacts to their system. For metropolitan, invasive mussels are not new. They've been dealing with the Cahuaga mussel on their Colorado River system since 2007. They add chlorine. They do other ways to manage that. It costs them $7 to $10 million a year to deal with that on their 250-mile-long aqueduct. The Cahuagas do not do well in low calcium water. The Colorado River has higher calcium. The state project supplies lower calcium. So we haven't found them in the state water. Golden mussels do survive at much, much lower calcium levels. So that's why they're an issue. So we're working with 5 water agencies in the San Gabriel Valley Metropolitan Water District to develop control plans for every delivery point in the San Gabriel Valley so that we can resume those deliveries as soon as possible. With the chart I showed you on the Keywell for upper waters deliveries, we can go months, years. We're in such good shape. We've got so much water in storage without deliveries, but we don't want to miss an opportunity to deliver water when it's available. So we're trying to, we prioritize the resolution of this so that we can turn our connection back on as soon as possible. It's not going to happen until after we get our winter rains. So we usually turn it off for the winter time and allow the winter rainfall to be captured and stored in our basin. So we hope to have this resolved by April or May so that when the winter rains are done, we can resume deliveries and make sure we continue to sustain an adequate, in this case, robust water supply. So at this point, we are doing our due diligence with the county and the Public Works Department, the director and the director's staff, working through their concerns. We hopefully will get them comfortable enough to allow us to resume deliveries in the relatively near future. If not, we may have to approach the supervisors to address this issue. We cannot go long-term without delivery of imported water. It's 30% of our supply in the San Gabriel Valley, so it's really essential that we are able to resume those deliveries. With that, I'll pause and see if there's any questions.
Any questions?
Mr. Love, the ships that are possibly bringing in these mussels, how many decontaminating stations are there within California?
For ocean-going ships, it's 0. So if you're moving a recreational boat from one lake in California to the other, they're inspected, they're disinfected, and they've just really increased how much they are inspecting those boats. Same thing on the Colorado River, the Cahuaga mussel. If you have a boat moving from Havasu to a body of water in California, it has to be inspected and sanitized. Ocean-going ships, no, there's not. And so what's likely to happen, a cargo ship who had, in a semi-freshwater harbor, because the Goldens don't like salty, super salty water, filled its ballast tanks, sailed to Stockton, released its ballast into the Delta water, and it has established colonies in the Delta. It is surprising how quickly, since its first detection, now it may have been in California for more than a year, and nobody found it. But since its first detection in October, how rapidly it has moved down in a year all the way to Southern California through the State Water Project. And it cannot be eradicated. It's in the system. For us, it's in the State Water Project. They are working on control measures to protect their most sensitive mechanical equipment. MWD is doing the same thing to make sure equipment like heat exchangers don't get clogged up. For the big conveyance pipelines and canals, you're just going to manage the population, and that's the best we can do. I will say there is a likelihood that in spite of all the control measures we're able to apply, the mussel will get into the San Gabriel River, and we'll have to work with the county on how to manage, and mitigate the impacts to the stretches of the San Gabriel River. But we recognize that, and we are working on that contingency as well.
And again, the problem is it wreaks havoc on all the water infrastructure.
Exactly. So it grows. You can see the picture in the handout there, how it just grows on top of each other. It can clog pipeways, valves. For a big pipeline conveyance, it's not a problem. For MWD's Colorado River Aqueduct, but at their pump stations and where they take cooling water out to cool their equipment, that's where they have to really apply their control measures to prevent those from clogging up any of those critical mechanical systems.
And I know that you said we've got plenty of water, but I know the message should always be conserve,
Absolutely.
never waste.
Absolutely.
That's
Any
what I was
other
going to ask.
questions?
Is just what are some of the other fallbacks in case we're going to encourage more conservation to make sure we have some time to address this in the future? And I have a second question. It's I don't know how small these are, but do some of our membranes out there actually, could you block it with membrane tech? I know it's
So-
expensive, challenging, hard.
So
but just
the
curious.
adult mussels are really easy to screen out because they're 1 inch or 2 inches. The veligers are microscopic. There are filtration systems. In fact, and at the flow rates we're talking about, you would have to have acres of filters. And then those filters have to be backwashed, and then you got to figure out what to do with the back. We're looking at those pre-treatment methods, which include chlorine, UV treatment, treatment with copper or other molluscicides. Even turbulence can have an impact, but it's high energy turbulence. In fact, we're writing a technical memorandum right now that we will turn into the county on Friday about the pre-treatment methods, so that we at least are able to start that dialogue. The other control measures are, number one, containment, so where you can contain the water and put it into a basin and don't allow it to go down the river. So containment, post-delivery treatment, so turn it off and then get in the channel and clean anything out that you have to. Monitor, and then if you have to do removal, then do removal. That's a little more challenging when we're delivering to the natural riverbed of the San Gabriel River. So that's a challenge. For our main delivery point, that's a bit more of a challenge.
And again, what's our kind of drop dead date that we have to get this working so that we can make deliveries?
So what we call the Canyon Basin, which is Azusa, up above the main part of Azusa, actually reacts quicker to lack of water than the rest of the groundwater basin. So here in what we call the main basin under Monrovia, if we're not able to turn on that connection for 2 years, we're okay. I don't want to rely on that. I want to get it ready much sooner, because in 2 years, we may have it ready to go, but there won't be water available. So that's why we need to move quickly.
Is that 2 years based upon, will it be affected by the rain that we're expecting? And if
So
we do
if-
not get the rain?
Yeah,
that
so,
we're-
so, no, if we get rain, if we have a normal or above normal year, then it's longer than 2 years. 2 years is if it's a dry year. If it's dry, we don't get any local water, we can't deliver any imported water, it's about 2 years. For Azusa, perhaps it's 6 months.
Wow.
for their connection. And they get delivery from a different
Right.
pipeline than us. And they can contain it, which is a good thing. And I think we'll get there fairly soon on that issue with the county. They would like to turn that one back on in December if they can get the county comfortable.
Well, keep in touch.
Will do.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alex, you have anything else? Thank you.
Come on back here.
Okay, thank you very much for that presentation. Then we are going to move on to our consent calendar, which are items CC1 through CC12, and those are considered ordinary and routine in nature and can be enacted by one motion unless someone is requesting something be pulled.
I'll move for approval.
We
I'll
have-
second it.
We have a motion and a second, and then without objection, then the consent calendar is so approved. Moving on then to public input. Thank you for coming. This is the public's opportunity to address the council on items not on the agenda. So if you're speaking to us under the public hearing, that's another matter. So anything not on our agenda, that is what you can address us here this evening, and you will be allowed 3 minutes to make your comments. And Alice, do we have any speaker cards?
We do, Madam Mayor, beginning with Martha Mack.
Martha?
Hello, good evening. My name's Martha Mack. I previously lived in Monrovia and now I live in Arcadia. I am here again because I have concerns about ICE in our communities. I witnessed a raid at the Home Depot in Monrovia a couple months ago, and it's very scary. There's big guns and they're pointing them at people who have no guns and are very vulnerable. And we have one man who did pass away, Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez. So I continue to ask that the city put up a permanent monument of some sort and consider other options for protecting our community against being kidnapped and being stripped of their rights and due process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sherry Lochner.
Good evening.
Hello, good evening. My name is Sherry Lochner, and I'm sure you are probably tired of hearing from me. I grew up here and have lived in the same house my mom has lived in the same house since the 1970s. I'm here this evening to advocate for day laborers and other people who are immigrants targeted by ICE. As you would be well aware, as my colleague has said, I was with her that day that ICE raided the Monrovia Home Depot. That was October 1st, and it was really scary. I'm here to advocate to have the memorial for Carlos Roberto Valdez, a permanent memorial. My colleagues and I have reinstalled the memorial. If you visited Home Depot, you can see the memorial there. It's just off of Evergreen. We want to see a permanent memorial for Carlos to commemorate his life and acknowledge his death as a result of the brutal, unjust tactics of ICE. I was pleased to recently attend a meeting with local clergy leaders and the city manager on how to move forward our request to have a permanent memorial for Carlos. While it was a preliminary discussion, I would like to urge the city council to dedicate time and resources to make the memorial happen. 24 people have died as a direct result of unlawful ICE action that has no place in our community, indeed throughout these United States. These are the names of the people who have died. Ishmael Ayala Uribe, Oscar Duarte Rascon, Lorenzo Antonio Batras Vargas, Chao Feng Ge, Sean Xuan Fan, Isidro Perez, Johnny Noviello, Jesus Molina Vella, Abelardo Avellanda Delgado, Marie Angie Blaze, Non Nhuk Nguyen, Brian Rayo Garzon, Maxime Cherniak, Sarawit Gezaheng Dejen, Jean-Marie Ruiz Guillon, Ramis Chand, Pankaj Karan Singh Kataria, Jose Manuel Sanchez Castro, Santos Raiz Benegas, Gabriel Garcia Avieles, Jose Castro Rivera, Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, Jaime Alanis Garcia, Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez. I stand here this evening because I and my colleagues refuse to allow the government to sweep these deaths under the carpet. I noted in the latest city manager's update that the theme for this year is "The city is a welcome place." Is Monrovia really a welcoming place for everyone? My questions for the City Council this evening are, as always, 1. What progress has been made on securing the report investigating the circumstances resulting in Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez's death? How can my colleagues work with the City Council to secure an appropriate site for the erection of a permanent memorial for Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez and the 23 other people who have died as a result of ICE actions? And when is the City Council going to stand up to the authoritarian actions of this federal government and denounce the ICE raids and secure justice for Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez? As Mahatma Gandhi
Sherry,
said,
I've almost given you four minutes.
thank you. I stand for justice, I stand for compassion. Where do you stand?
Thank you.
Mr. Nelson?
And I want to remind you that 3 minutes, okay? Thank you.
Good evening, Council. I hope everybody had safe travels and a good holiday. As usual, I would like to categorically denounce political violence and corruption, both big and small, emphasis on small. Speaking of which, regarding community media of the foothills, KGM TV, and the city in general, may wisdom guide our path. Last public comments, Tim brought up some matters, and they were categorically denied. I would like to categorically confirm the matters that Tim brought up because I'm witness to those matters. I would also like to remind the council and voters that there is video of the March 2024 CMF board meeting video that refutes categorical denial of involvement in internal nonprofit matters. I'd also like to state that there's plenty of documents that do the same. As a reminder, I've been coming to several meetings. I have over 100 points of interest that also support such matters. There's still a lot to go. I want to wish everybody a happy holidays and may, again, wisdom guide us on this path. Thank you.
Thank you.
No other speaker cards, Mayor?
Okay, we have someone who has a card. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, just provide your name.
All right, thank you. My name is Jennifer McDonald. I'm a Monrovia resident, and I would like to speak to consent calendar item number 11. I was really,
That is on our agenda, and can we, yeah, and it's passed, so that would have been the time when we should,
This
go
is the
ahead?
time.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I actually wanted to say that I was excited to see it on the agenda this week. And I would like to thank well, first of all, so I'm here as I speak. When I come up, I'm here for the Monrovia Tree Canopy and our urban forest. I'm here for the trees. I do want to thank the city and the council for the independent report on trees, including a report on our tree canopy vacancies, species recommendations, and the development of a tree plan in between Foothill and Huntington. So again, thank you for that. The second thing I wanted to comment on was, I think this is a great opportunity now to amend and update our oak tree protection ordinance in conjunction with this tree plan and this new report on trees in the city. The report stated that its purpose was to improve the tree canopy in Monrovia by planting larger trees and also to emphasize native trees.
So again, this is a great time to update our oak tree protection ordinance. Our ordinance protecting oak trees, which is great. However, our ordinance is 31 years old. Neighboring cities like Sierra Madre, Pasadena, Arcadia, City of LA, County of LA have all updated their tree protection ordinances in the last 10 years. LA County is in the process of updating their oak tree permit ordinance because it is also more than 30 years old, and so they're trying to update as science has improved and looking into things like tree canopy have improved in the last 10 years or so. I'm asking the city to update the ordinance to protect more trees, especially native trees, including sycamore trees, and also to protect trees in all areas of the city, including private and public property. And finally, to add mitigation, otherwise known as planting requirements, if trees are allowed to be removed. I'm excited for the new trees and the tree report and the tree plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Anyone else? Hi, Rosemary.
I didn't fill out a card. Sorry.
You can just state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Rosemary Gavidia, and I want to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation for the work that went into this agenda item, the tree planting agenda item. I don't remember what it was. Whoever made the decision to hire an independent arborist to prepare this planting plan absolutely deserves recognition. The thoughtfulness, the long-term vision, and the commitment to selecting species that will thrive in our city, especially the emphasis on oaks and other large native canopy trees, is something many of us in the community have been waiting to see for years. I also wanted to commend city staff for putting the planting work out to bid. This ensures better outcomes for our tree planting. This plan centered on native species, trees that support biodiversity, provide real shade, reduce heat, and fit our ecological region is exactly the direction Monrovia should be moving in. I do have a question regarding the DUDEC survey. Once their assessment and recommendations are complete, will those findings be used to update our current planting guidelines for developments? For example, aligning with recommendations to remove the crepe myrtle and the southern magnolia from our approved planting palette. These trees struggle in our climate, requiring more water, and do almost nothing for habitat. Updating our planting list would help ensure we aren't losing ground with development while also moving our city toward climate resilient, character building species. I'd also like to speak briefly about Foothill Boulevard. Over the last several years, residents and businesses have repeatedly advocated for the trees this corridor urgently needs. Petitions were circulated, emails were sent, and council members were invited to walk with us on hot afternoons to experience firsthand the lack of shade. Many of us have stood right here at this podium to express the need for action. In 2021, during one council meeting, residents packed the meeting and submitted nearly 100 letters urging the city to plant trees on Foothill. According to our previous mayor, he had never seen that many people show up for a single item. Yet today, Foothill still has more empty parkways than parkways with trees. It is our city's main corridor, our gateway, and the city has planted only one tree on Foothill Boulevard in the past 15 years. With that in mind, I'd like to propose an addition to this year's planting plan. Use the unused tree planting allocations from 2022 and 2023 to address Foothill's empty parkways. As you may recall, in 2022, the City Council voted to halt tree planting due to the drought, and that pause extended through 2023. If the funds allocated during those years were restricted for tree planting and ultimately went unused, I respectfully recommend that they now be directed toward adding Foothill Boulevard to this year's plan.
Rosemary, can you wrap it up?
Yeah.
Thank you for the thank you, but
Yeah,
please
this
wrap it up.
This would honor the original intent behind these allocations and respond to a community that has consistently, passionately advocated for canopy equity and environmental improvement along this major corridor. Thank you for listening, and thank you again for the thoughtful planning reflected in this agenda item. I truly appreciate the direction the city is taking, and I hope Foothill Boulevard can be included in that vision.
Thank you. Anyone else wanting to address the city council on items not on the agenda? Not seeing any, then we will close that portion of our meeting, and we will move on to our public hearing, which is PH1 General Plan Amendment GPA 2025-00002 to amend the land use element to create Plan Development Area 29, et cetera, et cetera. So with that, I'm going to turn this over. Is Mr. Meyer? Thank you, John Meyer. Our Planning Division Manager will provide the presentation this evening.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor, and good evening. Good evening, council members. Tonight, we are presenting the 701 South Myrtle Specific Plan and Development Project. This includes the environmental review, the general plan amendment, zone changes, the specific plan, the parcel map, and the conditional use permit, all for the project. And just as a quick roadmap of what we'll cover tonight, I'll begin with how the 701 South Myrtle project fits into the city's long-term vision for the South Myrtle corridor. I'll walk through the feasibility work that led to the preparation of a new land use designation for the site, PD 29, and the creation of a specific plan. From there, we'll go through the project design and how it fits in with the surrounding context, along with the public realm improvements. And after that, I'll summarize the environmental review process, including the final EIR before you tonight, and then touch on the Planning Commission feedback. And then we'll wrap up with the staff's recommendations and the actions before the council this evening. So this is a map of the South Myrtle Avenue corridor. This area has been part of the city's long-term vision for a very long time. Back in 2008, the general plan identified South Myrtle as a place where Old Town's character would continue south towards the Interstate 210 freeway. The goal here was really to transform what was then an aging industrial corridor into a more walkable, mixed-use extension of Old Town Monrovia. And as part of that 2008 update, the city put a strong focus on design, recognizing that this area just outside of Old Town was where the higher density housing would be the most appropriate, and built this design criteria to support that vision. Site planning, massing, and especially active ground floor pedestrian uses with residential above to maintain that Old Town pedestrian experience. So the project site you're seeing here sits right in the Old Town Extension District, which is exactly where this type of walkable mixed-use development was envisioned to occur. And we've already seen parts of that vision taking shape here. Projects like the Avalon and Paragon, these developments brought new activity, new housing and storefronts into the corridor and helped extend Old Town's pedestrian-oriented character further south. We like to say that these projects really put feet on the street in Old Town Monrovia. So the project before you tonight is considered the next step in that long-term plan. This slide shows the current site. It's a single-story 1979 office light industrial building with a very large surface parking lot. It's one of the key remaining redevelopment sites in Old Town Extension District, and it's well positioned to continue Old Town's extension, Old Town's walkable character southward, consistent with the general plan vision. So how we got here? The applicant team approached the city with a larger and taller mixed-use concept than what our current standards allow. The city paused the proposal so that staff can take a step back, evaluate what truly would be appropriate for the site. We looked carefully at the design context, the economic feasibility, and the long-term goals for this corridor, and that led to a more collaborative approach where the city and the San Gabriel Valley COG actually worked together on an independent feasibility study for this site. This graphic shows where we are today versus what the proposal could become. moving from a low-intensity industrial site to a pedestrian-friendly mixed-use corridor that continues that Old Town Monrovia Street experience. So the EPS analysis, this was an independent feasibility study prepared through the San Gabriel Valley COG to help the city evaluate the applicant's request for increased height and density. Economic and Planning Systems, or EPS, is an independent economic consulting firm that cities often use to evaluate project feasibility and land use scenarios. The study tested whether a mixed-use project could realistically be built under the existing general plan standards. What EPS found was that the project designed under those old limits, 54 units to the acre and 4-story height limit, would not be financially feasible on this site. EPS also found that modest increase in height and density could support on-site affordable housing while still maintaining strong design quality. These findings became the foundation for creating PD 29, a new planned development designation tailored specifically for this parcel. PD 29 allows increased height and density, but only when paired with general plan design standards, objective streetscape requirements, and the required affordable housing. We'll walk through those PD 29 standards in the next few slides. So as I mentioned, this is a new land use designation just for this property. And if the council approves this tonight, this will replace the older designation that only allowed 54 units to the acre. Under PD 29, the site can have a higher base density, up to 105 units per acre, but only if the project includes two required components, the affordable units and the specific plan. The affordable housing requirement is a minimum of 10% of the units for low-income households, plus 3 additional units at the moderate income level. If a project did not include the required units, then the higher density just would not apply here. The specific plan establishes the rules for the height and design quality and how the building sits on the site. For example, it sets a firm maximum height of 5 stories at 65 feet. And even if a developer offered more affordable units in the future, they could not build taller without coming back to the city for amendments to this. So a specific plan, just to explain, is essentially a detailed rule book for this project site. In this case, the proposed 701 South Myrtle specific plan is the document that would implement PD 29. It establishes the land use, the design, and development standards that are unique to this property. It also ensures that the project fulfills the city's general plan vision for that walkable mixed-use corridor connecting Old Town to Station Square. The specific plan also provides a clear rulebook for design quality, building form, and public realm improvements. These are standards that cannot be waived by the applicant. It also enforces the affordability requirement in PD 29, and it requires ongoing city oversight through plan administration and design review. This slide focuses on the development itself. This is the actual building that would be constructed under the specific plan. The project covers a 1.61 acre site and proposes a 5-story mixed-use building with a maximum height of 65 feet. Along Myrtle Avenue, the top floor includes a very generous 15-foot step back to help reduce the apparent scale from the street and helps create a more comfortable pedestrian experience. The building includes a total of 204 residential units made up of 20 studios, 147 one-bedrooms, and 37 two-bedrooms. The project also provides a mix of public and private open spaces, including a corner plaza, interior courtyards, balconies, and a rooftop deck. This slide highlights the project's landscape and open space areas. Along Myrtle Avenue, the plan keeps the existing trees, and along Olive Avenue, new street trees will be added to enhance the pedestrian experience. At the corner of Myrtle and Olive, the project includes a public plaza with widened sidewalks and space for seating, shade, and plantings. And inside the site, the courtyards and the small dog park provide some additional open space for the residents with drought-tolerant landscaping throughout. Overall, the landscape plan design helps tie the project into the Old Town character while creating comfortable outdoor areas for both the residents and the public. This is a view from the southwest corner of South Myrtle and West Olive, looking towards the corner plaza. The design incorporates a brick-clad arcade at the ground level with commercial storefronts helping to activate the street and consistent with Old Town's pedestrian environment. This slide also gives you a sense of the overall architectural character of the project. The design blends some contemporary mixed-use architecture with more traditional materials and articulated bays to help break up the building's scale. The ground floor is very open and transparent with large storefront windows and active street frontage to keep the pedestrian environment lively and connected. You can also see how the upper floors step back as the building rises. The step backs help soften the massing and create a more comfortable scale along Myrtle Avenue. So overall, the materials, the transparency, the step backs are all intended to make the project feel compatible with the Old Town Extension District and supportive of a walkable public realm. This view is looking south along South Myrtle Avenue. This shows how the project meets the corner plaza and relates in scale to the Paragon building across the street. In here you can see widened sidewalks, new street trees, and active storefronts, all helping to create a comfortable walking environment along Myrtle. This image also highlights how the architecture steps down towards the street and how the materials and transparency all support a pedestrian-friendly experience. Here's another view along South Myrtle Avenue showing how the storefronts are framed with canopies, providing shade and helping to create a comfortable pedestrian experience. You can also see the large windows and the transparent ground floor helping to keep the street active and visually engaging. This view looks northwest along South Myrtle Avenue and shows the building's south side where the service functions are located. You can see the loading entry and areas that accommodate the deliveries and resident move-ins, all designed to be organized and contained on the alley side of the project. This massing view is looking northeast from the rear alley. And because this is a service side of the building, the design is a little more simplified here compared to the Myrtle Avenue side. And even so, the specific plan does require lighter materials and breaks in the facade so that the building avoids a very flat appearance. And finally, this rendering is looking southeast toward the project across West Olive Avenue. And along this edge, the ground floor includes residential entries along the sidewalk, creating a more residential scale here, reinforcing a neighborhood feel on West Olive. You can also see how the West Olive frontage is broken into 3 distinct building blocks here, separated by 2 podium-level courtyards. Those also help to break up the overall massing and provide some visual balance along the street. So before starting the formal environmental review, we held some early outreach with the community. People shared a wide range of feedback, not all of it related to the California Environmental Quality Act, but still important for us to understand as we shape the project. We heard comments about height and scale, architectural compatibility, tree removal, parking, traffic, cumulative development fatigue, and concerns about construction. And all of these early comments helped inform the design and focus of the specific plan and the environmental analysis. We also heard some early feedback asking how the project might relate to the historic character of Old Town. So as part of the environmental review, the team CEQA consultant, working with Debbie Howell-Ardila, a senior architectural historian and preservation planner, completed a very detailed historic resources analysis. And that study looked at the surrounding area, including Old Town, to determine whether the project could affect any historic era buildings or community character. And because the site is several blocks away and separated by major intersections and non-historic buildings, the study found that the project would not alter the character of Old Town Monrovia or impact any historic resources. The project's step back, traditional materials, and pedestrian orientation also help it fit in with the broader context. So in short, the analysis concluded that there were no significant impacts to historic resources under CEQA. And the slide just explains why CEQA required us to prepare a historic resources study. CEQA does not limit its analysis to formally designated landmarks. It also requires agencies to look at older buildings and surrounding areas to determine whether a project could affect their historic character. And because of this requirement, our CEQA consultants included the historic resources analysis in the EIR. For 701 South Myrtle, the environmental review was completed under CEQA, beginning with early outreach and issue scoping to formally understand what the topics of the community are and what agencies cared about most. The city prepared a draft environmental impact report, or what we call a draft EIR, which was available for public review from July 3rd to August 18th, 2025. And during that 45-day period, residents, agencies, and organizations had the opportunity to review the document and submit comments. The final EIR is now prepared, which includes responses to all of those comments and identifies mitigation measures. Those are the specific steps that the developer must take to avoid or reduce those environmental impacts. Certification of the EIR and the adoption of its mitigation monitoring program are actions before the City Council tonight as part of the formal project approvals. The EIR looked at a wide range of environmental topics, everything from air quality and transportation to cultural resources, noise, utilities, and public services. For each topic, the analysis evaluated whether the project would create any significant impacts and whether mitigation measures could reduce those impacts. Across all the 15 areas studied, every potential impact was reduced to the less than significant level, which means that the project has no unavoidable or unmitigatable environmental impacts under CEQA. Some issues like aesthetics, air quality, and transportation were already below significance thresholds. Others, such as cultural resources, noise during construction, and geology, required some mitigation measures which were incorporated in the mitigation monitoring program. Staff is also requesting a small clarification to the mitigation monitoring program for noise mitigation measure MM2C, which simply specifies the type of temporary noise barrier to be used during construction. This clarification is included on the slide and under CEQA guidelines is not considered a change to the impact analysis. So overall, the environmental review shows that with the required mitigation, the project does not result in any significant environmental impacts. The city did receive 2 comment letters from SAFER. This is the, SAFER stands for the Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility. One was submitted at the Planning Commission hearing, and another was received here yesterday. Both were submitted after the close of the draft EIR public review period, which was August 18th, but we still made them available to the City Council. The city's CEQA consultant prepared a very detailed technical evaluation of those letters with assistance from subject matter experts, and that evaluation has been provided to the City Council this evening as part of the public record. This evening, the applicant's CEQA team is also available here tonight and will respond to any technical assertions raised in the SAFER letters during public comment. From the city's standpoint, the final EIR remains complete and adequate under CEQA, and the consultant's written responses are included in your materials tonight. On October 15th, the project was presented to the Development Review Committee, which recommended approval to the Planning Commission. On November 12th, the Planning Commission held a fully noticed public hearing and the full set of related entitlements. The commission spent some time discussing the project's consistency with the long-term vision for South Myrtle Corridor, including how the building transitions from Old Town, the pedestrian-oriented design of the ground floor, and how the affordable units were integrated throughout the project. A key part of their conversation was focused on landscaping and tree preservation. That discussion led to a recommended modification to a condition of approval, just ensuring that the final landscape plan returns to the Development Review Committee for some coordinated review. The commission also acknowledged a CEQA comment letter that they received the day before the hearing, clarifying the issues raised, did not introduce any new information or recirculation of the draft EIR. At the end of their deliberations, the Planning Commission voted unanimously 4-0 to recommend City Council certification of the EIR and approval of all entitlements, including the general plan, specific plan, and the land use approvals. So before we move into the formal recommendation, I just want to take a moment to explain what it means for the City Council to certify the environmental impact report under CEQA. And certification really just means the City Council, as the lead agency, finds that the environmental document was properly prepared that it provides a full disclosure of the project's potential impacts, and that the city has exercised its own independent judgment in reviewing and relying on that analysis. Certification also means that the mitigation monitoring and reporting program will be implemented, ensuring that every mitigation measure and design feature and regulatory requirement identified in the EIR is carried out throughout the construction and long-term operation. So with that, staff is recommending the following actions tonight: a series of resolutions, adopting the resolution for the environmental impact report, a resolution regarding the general plan amendment, establishing the plan development area 29, a resolution approving the 701 South Myrtle specific plan, introducing an ordinance approving the zoning map and text amendment to reclassify the property from its office, research development, light manufacturing to SP, which is specific plan. And finally, a resolution approving the tentative parcel map, combining there's two parcels into one parcel on this project site, and the conditional use permit, which contains a number of conditions to approve the construction of this building. So that concludes my presentation this evening. I, along with the applicant and the entire development team, are here in the audience, and Sherry Maher, our director, is here to answer any questions of the council this time.
Any questions of Mr. Mayor and the presentation? Not hearing any. We will go, at this time, then we will open our public hearing, and I will ask, do we have speaker cards, Alice?
We do not, but I'll take this opportunity just to note that there is one person online, and so this would be the time to raise their hand if they were wishing to speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Just hold 1 second.
Not just yet. If you just raise the hand, and then when it's the appropriate time, we'll unmute.
I did want to open this up to the applicant at this time if they wanted to make any statements.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Brad Griggs, one of the managing partners of Blake Griggs Properties. First of all, I wanted to let you know we're very excited to be here tonight. We appreciate all the hard work that's gone into the property and the project. A little bit of our background to give you a sense of who we are. I have been in a partnership with my partner, Brad Blake, two Brads, Brad Griggs and Brad Blake, for the last 15 years. We come out of the retail / multifamily housing backgrounds. I've been doing multifamily development for the last 40 plus years. I have just my career built, doing the math on this, 40 of these projects like this over the course of my career. And it ranges from both working as the Chief Investment Officer for BRE Properties, which is a public REIT, as well as our own properties we do. We're very proud of this property. By way of background, I grew up in Pasadena, and so I'm very familiar with the whole San Gabriel Valley area. I have a lot of affinity towards it. I was involved with the development of the Stewart Building over in East Pasadena, if you're familiar with that one. That was a really nice renovation we did. And then a little historic background. In about 2005, I had the opportunity to meet the Federers who are here in the audience. I've known Blaine and Linda for almost 20 years. And I worked early on with them on Station Square down there at by the train station. And then as time went on, I actually got involved. We started a new company called Opportunity Housing Group. And we were very much instrumental in terms of acquiring MODA on behalf of CSCDA, the Joint Powers Authority, and turning that into moderate income housing. We currently are the asset manager for that asset, and it's doing quite well. And we're very proud of that asset to bring a lot of good quality, affordable housing here to Monrovia. So in summary, when Blaine called me back a few years ago and said, look, I think I have this site that the family's had for a long time. We think this is a great opportunity to do infill development. We came and looked at it and knew right away we could really make a great statement of a quality development here for you. So we're very excited to be here. I'd like to turn it to Scott Griggs, the development manager, and he'll introduce our team to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Scott Griggs, Development Manager at Blake Griggs Properties. I first would like to take a moment and thank John for such a thoughtful and in-depth presentation. I run the day-to-day operations on the project, and John knows it just as well as I do, inside and out. And I thought that his presentation was, was sequentially done well and kind of showed the history and collaboration that we have had over the past couple of years getting this project to where it is today. Touching on that history, we held a community meeting down here in 2023 where we gained some valuable insight, and we also met with the Historical Preservation Group in 2024, which really just helped shape the character of this building. As Brad said, we're very pleased with how it's turned out, and we think that it's going to be a great staple for this community. Our design team is here tonight. We have Tobin and Kenneth from AO Architectures. We have Tracy Zen from T&B Planning, Dale Goldsmith, our counsel, and Debbie Howell Ardea with Chattel. Sorry, I said that one wrong. I just want to say thank you again for your time, and we fully support staff's recommendation and look forward to your support.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone from the developer, the applicant side that wanted to address the council? Okay, we do have then at least one speaker online that would like to address.
Right, you can go ahead and unmute, Chase.
Good evening, honorable city council members. My name is Chase Preciado from the law firm Lazo Jury, here on behalf of Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility, or SAFER. SAFER is respectfully requesting that the council refrain from approving this project and its EIR at this time. Instead, the council should send the EIR back to planning staff to ensure that it fully complies with CEQA prior to approving the project. The first issue is the EIR's failure to adequately analyze the health risks of this project, specifically from diesel particulate emissions during construction. Diesel particulate matter is a known carcinogenic toxic air contaminant. The EIR states that any increase in cancer risk above 10 in 1 million would be significant. But then the EIR never quantifies the construction-related cancer risk from this project in order to compare it to that 10 in 1 million threshold. SAFER retained air quality experts to conduct the health risk assessment that is missing from this EIR. Those experts found that without further mitigation, the increased cancer risk to infants would be 86 in 1 million, exceeding the 10 in a million threshold. The EIR should be revised with a quantified health risk assessment to ensure that these health impacts are properly disclosed and mitigated as required by CEQA. SAFER also retained a noise expert who found numerous deficiencies with the EIR. For construction noise, the EIR claimed that it was using reference noise levels established by the Federal Highway Administration. However, SAFER's expert found that the levels used in the EIR did not match the Highway Administration's levels. When modeled correctly, our expert found that the construction increase would be 22 decibels, almost double the threshold. The EIR has failed to disclose and adequately mitigate this impact and must be revised to do so. For these reasons and the other reasons in our written comments, SAFER respectfully requests that the council not approve the project and instead send the EIR back to planning staff so it can be revised to comply with CEQA. Thank you.
Thank you. I know there's a gentleman in the back. Does anyone else have a card they want to bring up? But gentlemen, yes, you. And if you could state your name, please.
Yes. Sorry, I'm not a public speaker here, so
That's okay.
please forgive me.
Yes, my name's Carlos Delgado, and I really wasn't prepared to. I wish I would have brought proper terminology. John, your presentation was quite good, but I did have some certain concerns. In one of the slides, I think you brought up a fact that you did talk to the residents and you did try to get feedback from the residents. And looking at the scale of this building, I really think that in terms of impact to the local architecture and to the local feel of Monrovia, as much as it is a beautiful building to the architects, it is a beautiful building, but I don't think it quite fits the profile of Myrtle as a street. If you look at the history of Myrtle, it's a very low, very quiet, peaceful street, and this thing just really, it's an exclamation point at the end of a very peaceful walkway of 5 stories, which is something where I know it's probably late in the game to kind of go back and redo all this, but I really do think that in terms of impacts, I really would like to kind of like what the other speaker was saying, to really look back and really analyze really what we're doing here, because if we're allowing projects like this to be allowed and certified by the council, I think it just opens up a gateway for other projects in the future to slowly creep up Myrtle and to just little by little take away the character of this city that we all love. So thank you.
Thank you. Rosemary?
Hello again. I'm here tonight because the proposed 701 South Myrtle development, as currently designed, will permanently and irreversibly damage the character, safety, and livability of our downtown. The project removes mature 40 to 50-year-old pine trees over 60 feet tall that currently support owls, hawks, and other wildlife, and replaces them with 10-foot saplings that will take 30 years or more to provide comparable shade, cooling, and habitat. Monrovia has developed a worrying trend of approving new developments that involve heavy, large tree removals with no meaningful mitigation. These losses are reshaping our neighborhoods and erasing the character of our city. In just 3 recent developments alone, close to 40 mature shade trees were removed. This is happening in a city that already has less than 12% canopy coverage below Foothill Boulevard and experiences some of the worst air quality in our region as pollution from Los Angeles settles against our mountains. We cannot afford to keep losing the very trees that protect our health, shade our streets, support wildlife, and define Monrovia's identity. These trees are not ornamental, as stated in the report. They are infrastructure, living infrastructure, providing shade, filtering air pollutants, cooling our streets, housing wildlife, and contributing to our small town character. Once they are gone for generations. This isn't just about aesthetics. It's about fire safety. It's also about fire safety. Mature, hydrated canopy trees help intercept embers, reduce ground level heat, and slow the spread of wind-driven fire. Replacing them with dense buildings, hardscape, and heat-retaining concrete increases fire risk, especially in a foothill community already exposed to wildfire conditions. I also want to remind Council of something very important. You are not obligated to approve the exemptions requested for this project. The general plan amendment, the specific plan, the increased height, and the reduced setbacks. All of these are discretionary approvals. You have the full legal authority to deny them when a project conflicts with the character, values, or long-term environmental health of this community. And the community has made its position clear. We do not want this project as proposed. We want a project that respects our downtown, protects mature trees, reduces heat, and keeps Monrovia the charming, walkable, welcoming place that people care about. You represent the residents, not the developer, and the residents are asking for something very simple. Slow this down, require a smaller footprint, preserve the existing pine trees, and protect the character and tree canopy of our downtown. Once these trees are cut down, you cannot bring them back. And once our downtown is reshaped, you cannot undo it. Tonight, I ask you to stand with the community and require a redesign that preserves our mature trees and protects the long-term health and identity of Monrovia. I'm also stating for the record that this project raises significant CEQA concerns. Removing mature trees, degrading the visual character of our downtown, increasing heat and fire danger, and failing to meaningfully analyze a reduced scale alternative that preserves these trees are all potential significant environmental impacts under CEQA. These impacts must be fully evaluated before any approvals are granted. I urge the council to slow this project down and require a redesign that protects our canopy, our downtown character, and the long-term environmental health of Monrovia. Thank you.
Anyone else wanting to speak either for or against the project? Right, I'm just asking if there's anybody else. No one else? Then, yes, please.
Good evening, honorable council members. My name is Dale Goldsmith. I'm a partner with the AGD law firm where we are acting as CEQA counsel for the applicant. As you know, the law firm of Lozo Drury submitted a letter on the eve of the Planning Commission meeting. They submitted another letter just yesterday. It's the identical letter. It just has a different date on it. Both letters assert that the project's EIR did not adequately assess air quality and noise impacts of the proposed project. The applicant's team of technical experts prepared a point-by-point response to each of the arguments in the two letters. These responses demonstrate that those arguments are utterly without merit. I'd like to briefly respond to the public comment by the representative from Lozo Drury via Zoom this evening. Safer First claims that the EIR should have included a detailed health risk assessment, or HRA, to assess risks from diesel particulate matter, or DPM. Safer submitted a crude screening-level HRA that purports to show that the project will result in significant health risk impacts due to construction emissions. The HRA used a program known as AirScreen. It's a screening model that doesn't take into account key factors such as meteorological conditions or geographic and temporal distribution of the emissions. And all these are very, very important to adequately assess potential health impacts. Therefore, this screening model always overstates impacts, and indeed their analysis did overstate the impacts. The EIR didn't include a HRA for construction emissions because the city follows the guidance of the South Coast Air Quality Management District, which does not recommend such an analysis for short-term construction emissions. According to the district's methodology, health effects from DPM are based on continuous exposure for a 70-year lifetime. Given the short-term duration of the project's construction of 22 months, the project would not result in any long-term source of DPM emissions. Therefore, an HRA was not required. Nonetheless, air quality experts Urban Crossroads, in response to the comment, prepared a detailed, refined HRA using a program known as AirMod. That is the preferred and recommended model by the U.S. EPA. This refined HRA, which used very conservative assumptions, including some of the assumptions from the screening model, shows that the health risks from the project construction will be well below the applicable significance thresholds promulgated by the South Coast Air Quality Management District, which the city follows. The letters also make a number of, quite frankly, inscrutable arguments regarding noise. They're highly technical and very difficult to follow. I'll try to translate a couple of them. Safer claims that the noise analysis in the EIR was missing information. But as shown in our response, the technical response, all of the key important information was included in the draft EIR or its technical appendices. In addition, SAFER asserts that the reference noise levels that are used to analyze, for the construction equipment used to analyze noise, were inconsistent or incorrect. In fact, all of those reference noise levels were consistent with the Federal Highway Administration standards, which is the gold standard that's commonly used for analyzing noise impacts. SAFER also questions the methodology of the noise study and suggests an alternative methodology. First of all, it's up to the city to decide methodologies, not SAFER, but nonetheless, in response to the comment, Urban Crossroads prepared a supplemental noise analysis using SAFER's preferred and proposed methodology. That analysis shows that impacts are less than significant. So in summary, as the expert technical responses show, the SAFER's arguments are without merit. Therefore, we respectfully request that you follow the Planning Commission's recommendation and approve the project. Thank you for your consideration. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you. At this time, we've heard for and against, and from the developer as well as a rebuttal. Mr. Steele, can you provide any other direction before I close the public hearing?
Well, I would never dare to provide direction to the council, Mayor, but I can just give you a little bit of extra information regarding this late set of comment letters, duplicate comment letters that were provided by SAFER, as well as the response, which is a lengthy technical document that was submitted yesterday and distributed to the council and is in the record. I just want to let you know that when staff and the Planning Commission received the letter from SAFER originally, it was provided back to the team that prepared the EIR on behalf of the developer. And so the city did request a response and an analysis of the claims that were made. And there's essentially two claims in that letter, groups of claims, if you will. One, as council just said, sort of questioning the methodology of the construction air analysis, air impact analysis, and another questioning the methodology on the noise analysis. That response from the applicant's team came back. Staff then distributed to the city's independent kind of third-party reviewer to make sure that the city had a third set of eyes on that response. And the city's reviewer provided some comments, but also concurred in the conclusions that had come back. So from staff's perspective, staff in the city attorney's office, we think there's substantial evidence in the record that the information presented at this late date by SAFER during the public hearing and at the Planning Commission stage does not constitute significant new information as defined in the CEQA guidelines, and thus does not require that the EIR be revised or recirculated or sent back to the Planning Commission, which is what SAFER recommended. We don't believe that the information that's been provided is evidence that the EIR needs to be revised or recirculated. And so staff and our office continue to recommend that should the city council deem it appropriate, that the EIR is appropriate to be certified as having been prepared in compliance with CEQA, that it also serves as a good faith effort at the full disclosure of the environmental impacts of the project, which is the basic requirement for an adequate EIR. And we continue to recommend that the city council take the actions that are recommended with regard to the project in your staff report.
Thank you very much. Then at this time, I'm closing the public hearing, and I'm bringing back the discussion to the council for final discussion and further action. So, council?
I'll start. Madam Mayor, I want to thank the public that came out. This is very. Excuse me. Madam Mayor, I want to thank the public that came out for this very important issue. I want to thank the property owners, the Fedders, who have so much faith in their investment here in Monrovia. as well as the staff that created this report. I have some concerns. For example, one of my concerns deals with what I feel is negative impacts on the Old Town's historic charm. I just respectfully disagree that there's no negative impact on the historical resources here in Monrovia. The Old Town area is in the process right now of applying for our National Register of Historic Places designation, and that is exactly across the street from this project facing Olive Avenue. This is a very significant designation for Monrovia, and it'll bring lots of opportunities. And I don't know if that's been taken into account. This is nothing new. It's been going on for many months, this application. That wasn't addressed at all. I also have serious concerns with regards to the aesthetics. I know that aesthetics is something personal. Everybody has their own idea of what looks good. My definition of what looks good is, for example, the Paragon Building, which is a newer building, but it includes elements that keep Monrovia's traditional historic legacy in place. Looking at the report that staff did, page 1, 5 lines from the bottom, and I quote, it says, to reflect this is the goal, to reflect the contextual architectural design inspired by Monrovia's historic downtown, unquote, okay? Second page, and I quote, compatibility remains central consideration, close quotes. 8th page, and I quote, the building's design was developed with guidance from Monrovia's Old Town design traditions. I disagree that any of those quotes are reflected here in the project. I just don't. With regards to the density and affordability, I want to applaud both the property owner and staff for coming up with affordable housing units. My only question is, did we give up too much? We went from 54 units up to 204 to get 17 affordable housing units. So those are my concerns. There's both positive elements in this project, really positive ones, but there's also the concerns that I have laid out. And that's where I'm at on this project. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I just want to add to that. I believe the project, I'm excited about the idea that there could be some low-income housing available for the community. So off the top, that's always exciting because we definitely need low-income availability for the community. However, looking at the project, while it is beautiful and architecturally admirable, I do believe where it's placed within the Old Town is just something, it just seems bigger than what our downtown can even hold. So I'm really torn on this project because, again, I believe that we definitely need low-income housing in Monrovia, affordable housing in Monrovia. That is the cry of our community. Another note I would like to make is that it was said tonight that as council, we need to do what's right by the community and what the community is asking for. I'm a little taken back that there's not more people here to speak up for this because we represent our community and we want to stand up for our community and hold the voice of our community. But did we get any letters, Alice, outside of from community members?
Right here.
Well, those are not that's not from this particular community. I'm talking about from Monrovia.
None received for tonight's meeting from Monrovia residents that I
Yeah, that's
saw.
that's not from here. So that's where we're torn, just for anybody that's paying attention, because when we say that we want to stand for community, and community, we want to do that, but if you're not coming out to these meetings, if you're not sending letters, if you're not making your voice and your desires known, while we appreciate the ones that did come tonight, those things make a big difference in our decision-making. But for me, again, all I can say right at this moment is that I am torn on the project. I think it's a beautiful project, but as relates to downtown, it does seems a little off-putting. I do appreciate the opportunity for low income. I do agree with Councilmember Jimenez as it relates to we could use more. And if we can negotiate more low-income housing for the overall project.
Edward?
Sure, thank you. Well, I'll start off by just saying change is hard. I realize that. I have that problem myself. I don't like to see things change in Monrovia. But I think that's kind of a common problem we all have, right? And it's definitely natural to be concerned with the growth in Monrovia. We have a lot that we just have seen, and I think many members in our community are probably more affected than a lot of us in South Monrovia right now. So I hear that concern from the public, from a lot of folks, and I totally understand it. I'd like to thank all the folks from Monrovia around that have come out and helped shape this project. I know it has gone through some iterations, and I think it's been blended together to try to address a lot of those along the way. And I think it's because people did come out at least along in the early stages and voice their concerns and share their concerns. And I think a lot of those, I'm optimistic that maybe some of those folks aren't here tonight because they feel there is some reflection in the new design here. I know that we need more housing in Monrovia, like many of us said, and that's not going away, the desire and the needs here in the whole Southern California region to have those. And so I think we also need more affordable housing options here, and we do need to really be smart where we plan and where we put those to make sure that we're reducing those impacts as much as possible, and make sure we're being really smart on those impacts to resources from fire, police, water, power, our parks, and also help cover those resources and the cost of those. Many of you know, I love our street trees. I love our trees in natural areas. I love our natural areas. I love the habitat they provide. So definitely I always feel a little twinge when I know that there's going to be trees coming out. But I do also understand there's renewal opportunities and there's options. And maybe there isn't even an option for folks to help support trees in other places, because that's always somewhere. I don't know if there's any offsets right now outlined. I know there's a new plan. We're going to replace kind of as is. We're going to make nice landscaping then. But maybe this is another opportunity as well. People said throughout where the city's about to start planting more trees in Monrovia. Maybe there's more ways to help encourage that offsite in locations too, as an approach to helping address that issue and that concern. But this is, in many ways, a smart way and a smart place to put a dense housing development. It's right next to a central part of the community. Now, I hear people's concerns on the historical nature of it, but when you want to make sure that people have access and don't have to drive their car, they don't have to emit emissions on the street, they can walk and they can bike and have access to places we all gather, like a library, like a park, like our downtown community area, to a market. Having that housing in that location does make a lot of sense. So I'm torn as well. But if you don't want it here, where do we put it, right? There is no good place in Monrovia. Then everyone's going to say put it somewhere else, and usually it's not next to their house. So I hear people's concerns, but I think from a density perspective, this is probably the better place to put a density. And it also still has good access to the train and rail and buses in the area. So I do think there's one thing that people have already mentioned, the opportunity to increase the number of affordable units, I think would be important. I know that the project here right now is providing about 88 more parking spaces than it needs from a current requirement perspective. I don't think we need to add more units in terms of no more than 204. But if there's an opportunity, I would really appreciate the team to look at ways to even reduce some of their parking as a way to cut costs and then allow some of those units to become more affordable as well. And as we already mentioned, I mentioned the preservation of any of the existing trees I would really like to support, or if there's even other opportunities to look at supporting other trees elsewhere in the community to make sure we're making up for those losses. Because yes, those are older trees. They do have a a long history with a lot of different species, but that are using those trees. So thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. And thanks again, honestly, to the development team, Mr. Fetter, and the team there. I know you guys have put a lot of time and effort in Monrovia, and we appreciate you guys looking at trying to do this in a good way. And I definitely appreciate the public as well for sharing their concerns as well. Thanks.
Larry?
Yeah, for the past couple of years, you know, the Fetters has reached out to the residents in order to get their opinion on the building. And they've made the changes within the structure, within the design of the building in order to make it fit Monrovia. And I think they did a pretty good job. I don't want to just keep repeating everything that people was talking about, but we do have the opportunity to be able to put another building in a place that is available. And if it's, like Edward said, if it's not in this location, where are we going to put it, or where would it go? Also, the young people nowadays, they want to have access to the uptown without having to get in a vehicle and drive to where they're going. They have access, walking distance, to be able to go to the different things, the amenities that we have here in the city of Monrovia. As far as we holler about, we need affordable housing. We have the opportunity to add a few more, but I mean, do we or don't we? You know, but to me, this project really fits in the location where it is coming in. I mean, it could have been 7 or 8 stories. I mean, if you look at the state, I believe, am I right or wrong? No, it couldn't, Dylan? Hold on. Dylan?
It's certainly possible if they had different intentions and came in with more affordable units, higher density. One of the density bonus requests they could make is a elimination of height requirements.
Right.
So it's a hypothetical.
Okay, so it's a hypothetical. So anyway, I believe that this project that we're seeing now, I believe it's a good, clean project. And as far as the trees, the planning commission even put in on one of the conditions that I believe it goes back to the DRC on the landscaping, right? So I believe the trees, the issue with the trees and the canopy and things of that nature would be covered within that scope of the DRC. So that's where I am.
Okay. Thank you very much for everyone's comments. Thank you to staff, to the developers. This is a great conversation. I do have a couple of questions and clarifications in terms of what you were asking, by right projects. I know that in by right projects, obviously, we lose our ability for design standards. We also, in certain cases, would not have to and be forced to approve a project that wouldn't require any parking. In terms of this particular site, I know you said that it's a hypothetical, but hypothetically, could this site then be developed in a by right situation where we would lose our design standards and requirements for parking?
Any project that utilizes the density bonus automatically has rights to using the reduced parking requirements under state density bonus law. So that's part of your parking question. Was there another part that I?
That and in the design standards, you lose.
Yes. So when you're most projects that are invoking the state density bonus, it's very difficult to enforce design on those types of projects due to the need for housing and the waivers and the concessions that come with that. For this particular project, I think staff had the same initial pause that I think some of the council members are having, and which is why on the onset we conducted that feasibility analysis. And the components of this project has really been a balance of both the general plan goals that are
I was
in
going
the,
to say a great marriage.
a marriage, a balance of the general plan goals, right? And which are very easily to lose sight of if we don't have a document that enforces those. And so the whole kind of idea behind the general plan amendment for the PD was to incentivize the production of this affordable housing, but in a way that didn't lose our city's control over quality design that was already outlined in the general plan. And also, the other balance to this is that the city's housing element, as the council knows, has these goals and policies for housing production. So staff kept that in our minds as well. And we also kept at the forefront the fact that state's policy continues to urge cities and counties to streamline housing development. And so really the purpose of this PD 29 helps offset the cost of, by integrating the affordable housing into a mixed-use project while also achieving the goals of the general plan and the city's RENA production goals. In a way where we don't lose the control that we could lose in a regular development project that is processing according to the standards we have.
And I just want to thank staff and also the developers for working together to get the best possible balance between the two. I also understand that in terms of the financial feasibility, originally, this wasn't exactly what you would say is a real financial winner for them. The current evaluation of it does increase that feasibility, but it's still not something that they will make some remarkable profit from. And so I commend them for wanting to continue on with the project under those circumstances as well. I wanted to ask and clarify on the historical designation, and although I really commend the people for coming forward and wanting to and apply for that historical designation, I understand that it does not preclude either within the historic designation or outside, preclude a property owner from developing their property. Is that correct?
That is correct.
But it's always nice, and that is an extra layer, and it's an acknowledgement that we do want to preserve our values, but it does not preclude the development of property. And this is a real technical question, and I apologize for not asking prior. I'm really familiar with tract maps, especially when you're talking about that number of units. I understand this is not a for sale product, it's for rent. And so if it were to be a for sale product, would they have to come back and apply under a tract map?
Yes.
Okay, that was a pretty easy answer. Okay, because as soon as I read it and I saw it said parcel map, and I paused and I thought it must have had to do with the initial use. Now, in terms of approving the project, though, is it approved according to or by current condominium or subdivided units, and could easily be, if they wanted to convert it for a for sale product?
Yes, they could come back and propose a tentative tract map to create condos.
Okay, all right, and and in terms of the trees, and I know the planning commission did add an extra layer on the trees. I would just ask, and I would think that would be a real easy fix, to add or to maximize the size of any new trees and to ask for additional trees around the area or in Monrovia, period. And I would think that that would be something that we could definitely work with the developer on. Let me see. I think that is all my questions, but thank you again for really working and working with the COG and with the developer and working to bring forth the best project and preserve our design standards. With that, then, are there any further questions of council? If not, can we entertain a motion? Okay.
Had we not pursued the bonus density, then the maximum number of units as the project was 54 rather than 204? Is that correct?
It's, give us one, we'll calculate that for you. It's based on 54 units per project size, so it's 54 times 1.61.
Roughly 85.
Yeah, about 85 units.
Okay, that is assuming that you took two separate properties and you joined them together. But as it is right now, all you could build is 54, is that correct?
And the total project site, the total land area under the ownership could produce approximately 85 units.
Okay. And it went from 4 stories to 5 stories, is that correct?
That was the design that was proposed under PD 29.
Okay. No further questions, ma'am.
I would like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-61, 2025-62, 2025-63, 2025-64, and introduce, read by title only, and waive further reading of ordinance number 2025-12.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Council members Belden,
Yes.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Kelly, and Mayor Shevlin.
Yes. Well, thank you very much.
Mayor, we just need to read that ordinance title. It's ordinance number 2025-12, an ordinance of the City of Monrovia, California, adopting zone change ZA 2025-0001 to amend the official zoning map for the City of Monrovia set forth in Monrovia Municipal Code Section 17.04.040 to change the ORDLM Office Research and Development Light Manufacturing Zone designation of the property located at 701 South Myrtle Avenue. Assessors parcels numbers 8516, 033, 030, and 031 to SP, Specific Plan Zone, and to amend Section 17.04.035 to add the 701 South Myrtle Specific Plan. We'd note that that ordinance will come back to the council at your next meeting for adoption. The other items that the council acted on this evening are all final, and there is no further appeal of those actions, and the time to challenge those actions is set forth in state law.
Thank you very much, and I do ask, obviously, this isn't a part of the formal motion, but that staff and developers continue to work collaboratively with each other and provide as much concession, or whether that be trees or exterior modulations or whatever we can do to make it as much of a Monrovia-centric project as possible. And thank you very much. Thank you to staff again, and thank you to the developers and the Fedders. Thank you. Okay. We are now moving on to our reports of city manager and staff, and we do have the one item we did move up earlier in the meeting, and that was RCM2, but we will start with RCM1-1 for Mr. Feek, and I will ask if there are any things that you wanted to refer to regarding the public comments, and so there you go.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'll speak first to the meeting that I attended. I had planned to give an update today. The night before the prayer breakfast, I met at the request of City Council with a couple local pastors, as well as Sherry, who had spoken earlier, who represented just a resident who wanted to honor Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez. Part of the purpose of the discussion was, as community members attend city council meetings and speak during public comment, what they may not realize is the city council cannot discuss or debate or act from those public comments. And so oftentimes the role of the city manager is, I'll go meet with people outside of the meetings to hear what the concerns, what the thoughts are. At the meeting, it was clear there are people in the community who want to find a way to honor Mr. Montoya Valdez. I provided information about, here's some suggestions and ideas, particularly if the city were to be involved. For example, if a public art project, a mural or a monument were considered, is it going to be on public land versus private land? Is it going to be paid for with public dollars or private dollars? A lot of considerations need to be made, particularly if and when it involves the city. Obviously, we have different requirements if someone is requesting something be placed on public land or with the use of taxpayer dollars. So I provided information. I believe the group will continue discussing how they want to honor Mr. Montoya Valdez, and then I expect that there will be follow-up meetings, and I'll provide those reports back to City Council. The city has not received any information, despite our formal request to the governor and the Attorney General for the investigative report related to the incident on the 210 freeway where Mr. Montoya Valdez was hit and killed by a vehicle. I do not expect there to be any information come from California Highway Patrol anytime soon, if at all, but we have made the request. And so despite the continued request from the public, whether we ever see that or receive it we just won't know. But we'll continue to ask, and I'll continue to follow up with City Council, which has been your request. Additionally, I would just like to speak to, following our last council meeting, the school superintendent provided a report to the Monrovia Unified School Board about her recommendation for middle school consolidation. There is a presentation deck that is circulating around. She ultimately, after making a presentation, recommended to close Santa Fe Middle School or to consolidate all middle school operations to Clifton. There were quite a few questions and input and feedback from the school board. There was not a decision made at that night. The decision will be made at their December 17th meeting. But the school district has asked for maybe a joint meeting or a discussion with the city council at some point in the new year to discuss, what do they do with the school that they will have to close a school. And while they haven't yet decided what that will be, they feel that the city's involvement and support and help is very important to that discussion moving forward. We also thought in context of just collaborations around the open space at elementary schools, the high school pool renovations, third grade program, other programs. There'd be a nice chance to check in with them. We had been requesting a joint meeting for a while, and it's just a matter of getting schedules to jive. It's something that I think we have made that very clear. We've even offered to schedule the meeting many times, and so we're very hopeful in the beginning of the new year to set a meeting with them. And that is I'll leave that as my report this evening. Thank you.
Any questions of Mr. Feek? Thank you, Dylan. Okay, again, we have already heard, we have already heard RCM 2. I didn't want you to listen to me chomp on my candy. We will move on then to our reports of city council members. And Mr. Belden, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a brief update as the council's liaison with Clean Power Alliance. We have our next board meeting coming up on Thursday. One of the items that they're going to be covering is a rate modification. Those changes are going to be taking place on CPA's rates to make sure they align with Edison's rates. So the idea, just for everyone, is that if you, for Clean Power Alliance, is always trying to make sure that a full bill compares to a full bill if you were just using Edison directly and not CPA. So there's going to be some modifications. In some instances, it's the cost is going down for some users, depending on the tier that you're in, the type of power you're getting, and then there'll be a small bump, I think, as well for folks that are all green, but it's small. But in other words, it's going to line up with what you would be paying if you were using Edison, and in most instances, it's still cleaner and greener in this use case. And I think that's my short update for today. And there are, I guess, one other update from Clean Power Alliance. They have grant programs. I know that the city manager's talking to them right now about some of the grant opportunities they have for power share and ways we can use some, about $250,000 they have available for either a building or another space for power consumption. But one of our grants we went after, the incentive, it's kind of an innovation grant that we applied for. We did not receive this round, but they're going to have a third round, and there's a lot of other cities that were in the third round that had some similar characteristics to ours, so they thought there's some opportunity there coming up soon for us to get some more money there. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Whatever your name is, Larry, Mr. Spicer.
I understand. Okay, this Thursday evening, Old Town Monrovia will once again shine with their holiday cheer as we host our annual holiday parade. The parade will step off at 7 p.m. from Chestnut Avenue and proceed north along Myrtle Avenue and conclude at the park. Residents and visitors can look forward to festive lights, joyful music, and the smiling faces that make the tradition such a highlight of our season. It is always a wonderful opportunity to celebrate community spirit and welcome the holidays together. After that, we also invite everyone to join us as we ring in the new year with two special celebrations. Family-friendly New Year's Eve at Library Park from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. A daytime celebration designed for families and children, complete with activities and a countdown to noon. The evening celebration on Myrtle Avenue, which will happen on Myrtle Avenue and Lime Avenue, starting at 10 p.m. to 12:30 a.m., a lively adult gathering in the heart of Old Town, and culminating in the countdown to 2026. As we gather for these celebrations, may we be reminded that Monrovia's greatest gift is the joy we share together. And that's my report. What is that? Oh, you can do it, Mayor.
Okay.
I'll do it. The Monrovia Holiday Home Decorating Contest. Last day to register is Friday, December the 5th. All decorations must be in place by 12/8. Judging will take place on the 9th, and awards will be presented here at the City Council on, what is it, 12/16?
It's 12/16, yeah.
Okay, 12/16. For more information and registration, contact the Community Services. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Bonnie?
No.
All right.
No, I don't think so. Sergio.
Madam Mayor, as all of us were witness to, we saw a very successful community prayer breakfast. I think we had the largest attendance. What was the
Yes,
title
we
number?
did. It was 196, I think.
It was the greatest attendance
Yeah,
we've
but
ever
who's
had.
But who's counting?
The greatest attendance we've ever had at the community prayer breakfast. I think the real value of the community prayer breakfast is that you get to fellowship with people that have not the same faith tradition that you're from, but from a different faith tradition. We've all heard that saying, oh, you're just, singing to the choir. We're just, when we're worshiping, usually, whatever our faith may be, it's with people that share our faith. But this is special because you're sitting there with people of all these many faith traditions. And I think that's what makes it so special. So that was a wonderful experience. And it was right before Thanksgiving, so it was appropriate time to have it. I also wanted to thank the Chamber of Commerce. I was hoping they were going to be here so I can thank them in person for having a very successful small business Saturday in Monrovia. They also gave out, they had a raffle as well for those shoppers that visited certain designated sponsors there in Old Town Monrovia to kick off the holiday season. And it's, you just need to walk down Myrtle and you see just how successful Christmas season we're having. So that ends my report, Madam Mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dr. Kelly.
Thank you. Yes, a Small Business Saturday was a great success. I spent my good share of money in about 5 stores until I ran out. And then, but it was a lot of people there. It was a lot of, every store I went into, they had a good crowd inside the store, so I hope that the businesses fared pretty well. So
Did you buy us something?
I didn't buy you anything. I spent it all on myself. You'll be seeing it for the next few months. I'll be wearing them. No, but I really enjoyed that. And so kudos to the chamber in their excellent work. And also, I really appreciated the passport. It was a passport where you would take the book to the participating stores, and they would stamp your book, and that's how you would enter the raffle. So it was very well organized. And so I would like to hear about the report regarding how the business has fared as a result of that. Further in my report, I would like to give an update on Old Town as well as the library. There are many reasons to get out and enjoy Old Town Monrovia this holiday season. On Saturdays throughout December from 3 to 6, enjoy holiday carolers, it's that time again, in Old Town. Catch them as they stroll through town, stopping along the way to bring holiday joy. On Sundays throughout December from 3 to 6, you can bring your friends and family into Old Town for a holiday carriage ride. What's going on with the library? Well, I'm glad you asked. If your little one is looking to send a message to Santa, by the way, I'm going to be a grandmother, so in April. So we'll be able to participate in this letter next year. But anyway, you'll hear a lot from me on that. A message to Santa, come to the library to drop off your letter to Santa through our direct mail system. The letters will be accepted through December the 12th. And guess what? We hear Santa will reply by email only, okay? Or join us on Saturday, December the 13th at 9:30 a.m. to be a part of our Santa story time. We will have music, craft, and of course, a story time with our special guest. Can you guess who that is?
Santa Claus.
Santa.
Your child may even get a chance to speak to the special guest in person. That's my report.
Thank you very much. Yes, and going back to the prayer breakfast, it was really nice. And the history on that, it used to be held on Good Friday. And it wasn't maybe as inclusive of other religions and whatnot, but over time, and I think it was when Rob was mayor, we changed it to November, and it really is more appropriate, community thanks and Thanksgiving, and so it has really worked out much better. And so, and the clergy are much happier too, not to try to do something on a Good Friday. But and also, if you notice, that at least the last couple of years, we've said community prayer breakfast, because it really is not my prayer breakfast. It is a time for community to come together and celebrate with thanks. So, in our theme this year was resiliency through faith, and Brock Milhorn, his message was really, I wish it had a happier ending, but it was very, very inspirational, and how he had lost his wife, and at any rate, but how he has been resilient. And Little Monrovia is a pretty resilient place as well. So we can be thankful for many, many things. And so it was a great time. And it is nice to know that we had a record attendance. Shame on me. At any rate, I did want to say that I've mentioned I'm a part of the Los Angeles County Executive Committee on Regional Housing Alignment, and we are continuing to review and make recommendations to the Board of Supervisors regarding the Measure A spending plan. And let me tell you, that's really difficult. And the city of Los Angeles makes no bones about it. I mean, they are definitely against and feel that they don't like local solutions, the monies that get distributed to areas such as like the San Gabriel Valley COG and other areas, and feel that it is not equitable. And it is a fight to make it a balance. It is. They do have, obviously, a higher number of homeless, but in terms of anyone experiencing homelessness, you are in no less pain because you happen to be in Monrovia or LA. So it's a tragic situation no matter where you are. And so it is a real struggle. And we will be meeting on December 12th to make some final recommendations to the Board of Supervisors, and they will be making their decisions in January, late January. There's been a lot of talk about federal dollars that have been cut, and it's not necessarily that they've been cut as much as there are additional restrictions on how the monies can be spent. The monies, a lot of permanent housing, it was relegated to whether it be permanent housing or outreach or whatever, and those percentages have changed. And I had to laugh because I said, and they find that to be a big challenge. I said, well, now they know how we feel, because the monies that trickle down to us, what monies we do get, are always come with so many restrictions on how we can spend it. So at any rate, it's a challenge for everyone to make the system work. There's going to be some pain and challenges, but I'll report back. But again, the Board of Supervisors will be making, and this is just the Measure A dollars, which aren't as lucrative as they had thought. That's sales tax revenue, and it's not as high as they had thought. So that's impacted. There are other funding sources that come through down to Department of Mental Health, for instance, and things like that. So, but I'll come back and I'll report when I've got more information. I did want to just FYI, a friend of mine who sits on the Claremont City Council was able to arrange a very small group of people that will tour the Men's Central Jail on December 10th. So I'm going to be going on a tour of Men's Central Jail, and I'll let you know what I think. I wanted to let you know in case there's any photo ops there that you see. No, I'm not going to jail. I'm just doing a tour.
Can you please share the ones with you behind the?
Yeah. Yeah. So at any rate, and there's some items on the Regional Housing Trust that, and I can report back on that later. And I also gave Dylan some information. Is it PLHA or PHLA? PLHA. And those monies that can be used for housing purposes, and we have dedicated ours to go to the Regional Housing Trust, and some things that have been put in place as to how it can be applied to our actual membership there. But we can report back later on that. It is late.
Circumstance of the jail, I mean, what is?
Well, the Men's Central Jail, the EGADS, it's been, do you happen to remember, Craig? It's been several years. In fact, it was before COVID that the Board of Supervisors decided to close Men's Central Jail. Well, they've made like zero progress on doing that. And actually, Men's Central Jail could be considered one of the largest mental health hospitals. And it is in a world of hurt. It's a very, very aging and crumbling building or structure. There's a lot that needs to be corrected there, but there hasn't been any positive movement that I'm aware of to actually put in place the actual closure and what to do with the people who are currently housed there, that are jailed there. So at any rate, I'm sure we will be getting more information. In fact, there's a representative, I've forgotten his title, I'm sorry, that he actually lives in Monrovia that works for the DA's office. And he's going to be assisting in that tour. So I will report back on that. With that then, and I want to I did want to say, excuse me, especially since the chamber was not here this evening, that this Thursday, it is the 4th, that there is a coffee social, and that will be at the San Gabriel Valley Habitat for Humanity at 800 West Chestnut. It is a free event. At any rate, that is a great opportunity to go and mingle with businesses. And it's from 8:30 to 10 a.m. Again, Thursday, the 4th, from 8:30 to 10. And then there were a couple others before we come back. I wanted to announce Monrovia Guild of Children's Hospital, LA. They're having their annual toy drive at Tired Ironworks at 135 East Foothill Boulevard in Monrovia. Donate an unwrapped toy. There will be food and entertainment and goodies, and that's from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. this Saturday, the 6th. The Foothill Unity Center also has a European Market and Toy Drive at the Foothill Unity Center on Chestnut. That's also on the 6th, and that's from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I think on the chamber we'll also have it's in conjunction with the Arcadia Chamber, and they call it the Holiday Mix. And that's going to be at the Courtyard by Marriott on Tuesday, the 9th. And I think those start at about 5:30. I don't have the time on here. And it is $15 a person. So with that ends my report, and I look forward to seeing everybody on Thursday at the parade. I will be riding my green bike. Oh, yeah, the Boys and Girls Club. I don't know if there's still tickets available for that. That's on this Saturday as well. Their big Festival of Trees annual. It's their 15th annual, if you can believe that, 15th annual Festival of Trees at the Annandale Country Club at 1 North San Rafael and Pasadena. And you can go to the Boys and Girls Club webpage to see if they still have tickets for that if you're interested. So, okay, now then, 9:45, and we are entering our administrative reports, so thank you for hanging in there with us. AR1, determine the existence of a majority protest in connection with the proposed formation of the Monrovia Citywide Lighting, Landscape, and Park Maintenance Assessment District 2025, number 2025-1. And obviously, we were hoping for a different announcement this evening, but Ray, please give us the report.
Of course. Thank you so much, and good evening, Mayor Shevlin and members of City Council. Thank you for your time this evening. So tonight, I'm presenting the results of the ballot proceedings for the proposed formation of the Monrovia Citywide Lighting, Landscaping, and Parks Maintenance Assessment District, number 2025-1. As Council will recall, this proposed district was intended to consolidate and replace the city's two existing maintenance assessment districts. In accordance with Prop 218 requirements, the city undertook the necessary proceedings, including the ordering of an engineer's report and the mailing of notices and assessment ballots to all parcel owners at least 45 days prior to the public hearing. The public hearing was held here on November 18th, and following the close of that public hearing on November 19th, the city clerk, the city's assessment engineers, NBS, and staff proceeded with the tabulation of all ballots. The ballots were publicly unsealed and tabulated in council chambers to allow interested individuals to observe the process. Each ballot was weighted according to the amount of the proposed assessment assigned to the specific parcel. NBS completed and certified the tabulation results, which are included as Exhibit A to the agenda report. And the certification indicates that 72.35% of the weighted ballots were submitted in opposition, and 27.65% were submitted in favor of the proposed district. This constitutes a majority protest, and as a result, the City Council may not form the proposed citywide district. The city's two existing districts, the Lighting and Landscape Maintenance District and the Park Maintenance District, will remain in place. I did want to note that throughout this process, staff heard from several community members who expressed their deep appreciation for the city's lighting, landscaping, and parks. One resident even came in to share that although they wished to support the proposed district, living on a fixed income made the additional cost unmanageable, so they had to vote no. And we understand that for many, opposition to the district was not due to the lack of support, but to financial constraints during these difficult times. With the proposed district not passing, staff and city council will continue working to address the ongoing deficit created by the existing districts. This will be a longer-term effort, and we remain open to community feedback as we evaluate potential paths forward. Based on the certified results, staff recommends that the City Council receive and file the report and the certification of tabulation results prepared by the city's assessment engineer. And that concludes my report. Thank you for your time. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ray. Did we happen to have any public comment that was online, maybe? Okay. Does council, any comments for Ray?
Just thank you for the report, but more importantly, thank you for all the work on the district and the effort there. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank
Ray.
you.
You did a great job, Ray. I had people make public comments that it was a complex issue that needed to be put in very simple terms. And I had some people say if you had made it, the explanation a little bit more fundamental, a little bit simpler, perhaps it would have passed. Some people had said that in these hyperinflationary times, almost nothing's going to pass. It's going to increase your property taxes. So God only knows. We'll find a way. That's it. So thank you so much for your hard work.
Thank you so much. It was definitely a team effort, and thank you for your guidance throughout the process.
Did you want to say anything, Tamala? No. Oh, okay. And I do want to thank you. I think it was pretty clear. We heard people, it wasn't necessarily that there isn't a need, but that they just can't afford it and don't want to pay anymore. So I know, just like this evening, Sherry and your staff, how creative, and I know community services, all of our departments, Buffy with finance department, and Alex in public works, and Mr. Feek, you all work together as a team and work with us, and we are very we can come up with some creative solution to this, because there is truly a need. It has to be resolved one way or another, and so we will come forward, but we understand, and we'll try not to take it personally.
Madam Mayor, people like nice stuff,
Oh,
but they don't want to pay for it.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Ray. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is a receive and file. It has been received, and it shall be filed. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.
Okay, then we are moving on to AR2, which is amendment to Title 17 zoning, Chapter 17.52 administration of the Monrovia Municipal Code, assigning to the Planning Commission the authority to modify or revoke conditional use permits and establishing related process. I got it, et cetera, et cetera. So, Sherry, I see you sitting there, or is it Craig? Craig? Okay.
Mayor, members of the council, state law provides in the planning and zoning law that every city will have a what's called a planning agency to carry out certain functions. In Monrovia, that's the Planning Commission, and the municipal code sets out the duties that the city council has delegated to the Planning Commission. In the course of preparing for some code enforcement activity, we noted that the Planning Commission has never had delegated to it the power to revoke or modify conditional use permits. Now, we've never, since I've been around almost 25 years, even thought about really revoking or modifying a conditional use permit, but because the Planning Commission has the authority to grant or deny, they should have the authority also to modify or revoke as we go through any necessary code enforcement processes. So that's what this ordinance does, is it provides that the Planning Commission has the authority now, would have the authority now to grant, deny, revoke, or modify conditional use permits. It sets forth a process and also the grounds for modifying or revoking. So basically, a permittee would have to be doing something detrimental to its neighbors, or not complying with conditions that are imposed on the use when it's granted, or the use has changed such, or the character of the surrounding neighborhood has changed such that the use is no longer appropriate. There would still be a public hearing required, a notice to the neighbors and notice to the permit holder. So all of that due process would be preserved. We anticipate this would be very rarely used, but it's good to have it in the code in case it's necessary. So we're recommending that the council introduce and waive further reading and read by title only ordinance number 2025-13 to provide that authority to the Planning Commission.
And I assume also that with those changes, there is an appeal process to the city council. Okay, any questions of Mr. Steele? If no questions, can we please entertain a motion?
So,
Okay, who gets the motion, who gets the second?
Edward.
I'll move to introduce, waive further reading, and read by title only ordinance number 2025-13.
I'll second it.
Okay. Can we have a roll call vote?
Council members Belden?
Yes.
Jimenez?
Yes.
Spicer?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Kelly? Yes. And Mayor Shevlin?
Yes.
That's
Thank you very
ordinance
much.
number 2020, oh, sorry, didn't mean
That's
to step
okay,
on your
that's
line.
okay.
Ordinance number 2025-13, ordinance of the City Council of the City of Monrovia, California, amending Chapter 17.52 of the Monrovia Municipal Code to assign the Planning Commission the authority to modify or revoke conditional use permits and to establish the process for such modifications and revocations, and finding adoption of the ordinance to be exempt from review under the California Environmental Quality Act.
Thank you very much. And then we have come to the end of our meeting. We have no further items before us. Our next scheduled meeting, a regular meeting, is Tuesday, December 16th at 7:30 PM in these council chambers. That will be the ugly sweater evening. At any rate, I encourage everybody to come out for the parade this Thursday at 7. And with that, it's so nice to adjourn and not have to adjourn in memory of someone. So very nice, and enjoy your holiday season with all the very special parties and things, and be safe. And we'll see you back here on Tuesday, the 16th. But before that, the parade. Thank you. Good night. And we are adjourning at 9:56 PM.
Now the mayor closes like a preacher, doesn't she?